Welcome to Accounting High.
Accounting can be fun. There's creativity in accounting. There's an awesome group of people in accounting that you wouldn't know about unless you saw it on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, like other people that are creative and showing the fun you can have with accounting. To be drawn to the profession, whether they're in high school and college age, or complete change in career trajectory by going into accounting. If they have any interest in accounting, to just go for it. If you're looking to study for the CMA exam, CPA exam, a junior accountant somewhere, and should I get CPA, CMA, or is there another credential out there for me?
Hi, class is in session. It's time for Shoperations at Accounting. Hi, class is in session. It's time for Shoperations at Accounting. Hi, kids. Hybrid teams, for Pete's sake. I'm trying to manage through screens, but I can't figure out which Zoom window's my next meeting. Well, since 2012, my firm's been in the cloud. Join us as we go deep. I'll try not to run it to the ground. We're sharing profit and loss and managing back office. The tax staff just quit. Tried to hire on LinkedIn, no luck. And scope creep, team count, CAS, automate tax, compliance, transactions, ID, and bottlenecks. Come on, ops. Scotty, wait a minute. It's my firm, dog. I know, and I said you could run it however you want.
Introducing the star of our show.
Scotty and Lukas.
We're gonna have a problem here.
Class is in session. Students, I have with me the founder of Accounting Couture, the man himself, Lukas Sundahl. Lukas, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Lukas, who's going to be leading the class with us today. Today we're going to be talking about implementing CFO services or just CFO services in general, learning more about that from Lukas himself. He is a CFO. He's a CMA. He's out in the accounting world. You may recognize him and know him from Accounting Couture. Lukas, tell our students and our listeners here today how you got into this whole accounting thing in the first place. You can start back as early as high school.
Yeah, so it's funny. Basically, I went to K-State for college. I originally started off as an art major for a semester or so. Then I changed over to education briefly, and then I was looking at marketing and kinesiology. And ultimately, I chose to go the kinesiology route.
What is that?
Scientific study of human movement. So people use that degree to then go on to, some of them become physical therapists, some people go into dentistry. It's almost like a pre-med major. From that, I became a personal trainer, worked as a personal trainer for...
I could see you as a personal trainer or physical therapist, one of those two, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a great time doing that, worked doing that for about 5 years full-time. And then I came across a friend that recommended like, hey, because I was trying to think of like, what can I do to get like better hours, more of like an 8 to 5 type thing, but I still like training. So I got a job at an investment company in Kansas City. And that got me kind of interested more and more on the business side of things, investments, mutual funds. And then from there, I was like, okay, I worked there for a bit, decided to go back to school, got an MBA degree in finance. And I was like, all right, awesome. I have an MBA. I'm going to hit the ground running. I go to apply for jobs, and most of the jobs I'm looking at are undergrad degree in accounting, undergrad degree in finance. Didn't have that. So then repeat the process, go back to school again for another degree. So obviously I've done a lot in terms of...
How much schooling is this at this point? How many years of school?
Yeah, basically I could be a doctor at this point. So I had 4 years the original degree, 2 more for my MBA. And then basically, since I had enough credit hours between my undergrad degree, my first one, and then the MBA, I was able to complete the undergrad degree in accounting in 2 years. So, yeah, I could have been a doctor or just somebody that changed to accounting after the 8 years span of coursework.
That's pretty normal. I've heard that a lot on other conversations that I've had on the show. Is people go back to school for accounting later in life because it's financially stable. Obviously, you're going to make some money. Sounds like that's why you did it. You went back so you can earn more and receive a job in some of these places that you needed that degree.
From there, like over the last few years, once I got my MBA completed, my accounting degree completed, I got some jobs working in senior accounting roles, and then kind of just progressed through senior accountant to then assistant controller work, did some accounting manager work, controllership, And then most recently, I've done some work.
Where was this? Where were you working?
Oh, yeah. So I've been in the manufacturing industry, aerospace manufacturing. I worked for a company that made parts for Boeing, and they also made some stuff for the U.S. military. They did some rework on some of the military planes, fighter jet work. They also did some stuff for Gulfstream, so a lot of aluminum, titanium. It was pretty cool. And then that's what kind of got me inspired to pursue a certification. At the time, I was kind of going back and forth between to do CPA. I was looking at the CMA, and ultimately I went after the CMA just because of the management accounting, the focus on benchmarking, strategic perspective, scorecards, and then they even have their part of their course or the credential tests on manufacturing companies, and so absorption costing, cost accounting, that kind of thing. So naturally, the field that you were in, that seemed like a better route for you to continue the path that you were on. I was going to say something about the CMA though. So the CMA versus the CPA, right? Because we don't talk a lot about the CMA. Certified Managerial Accountant, right? That's the CMA itself. Did you find that getting the you were just going to decide between just those two designations? It wasn't like you were looking at, I'm going to be a CFP maybe too, but you still had that choice. Was I going to be a CPA or CMA? And ultimately, was it because you were in private and you had this private experience instead of public experience? Is that why you went that route too? Yeah, so for me, I worked briefly right after I moved. So about my family, we moved from Kansas City to Tulsa when my son, our first child, was born, and I moved to take a role at a CPA firm, and it was a tax role, and I was hoping to I'll get some experience in public accounting, see if I like it, and ultimately I left that role because another job opportunity that was a higher salary and more benefits came along. But ultimately that kind of gave me a perspective that I didn't want to go back into public accounting. I even honestly considered doing the CPA just for the letters. I wouldn't even actually be an active CPA. I just wanted to get the letters.
Wow, just for the brand?
Just for the brand,
to brand yourself?
Yeah, and so, but ultimately, because I already had been in public accounting, didn't want to go that route. That's why, being in the industry, I ultimately chose the CMA and went that route.
Okay, so was CMA, I'm not going to say easier to get. How's the test on that versus the CPA?
Yeah, so the test I feel like is pretty complex. There's some people that have done both exams. The CMA is a 2-part exam. The first part is more focused on accounting type tests and accounting material. The second test is more on FP&A, finance, that kind of thing.
Aha, okay.
And so they're very similar to the CPA, except obviously the level of detail is not there for the audit or tax piece because that's not the focus of managerial accounting. But there's a lot that you're tested on that's very similar, I feel like, that the CPA exam would be testing on. So there's a lot of overlap.
CPA exam is not testing on FP&A stuff.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where you would get a lot of that knowledge, or at least present that as the CMA. And that's going to be much more valuable for where you were because you weren't going to go back into public. All right.
Well, yeah. So with the CMA, it's a 2-part exam versus the CPA, which is 4 parts. And one thing that right after I earned my credential that I like is the CMA was one of the first ones to have part of the curriculum be data analytics. I know that the CPA has gone through the evolution and now has that kind of into the core part of their tests, but the CMA exam was doing that early 2020. And so I feel like they've done a really good job. The IMA, that's the governing body that issues the CMA exam, they did a good job about trying to be cutting edge and leading in terms of analytics and what do accountants need to be more productive on the job, help make a greater impact. And I feel like knowing how to understand data, use it to make decisions is a big thing for setting you up for success.
Okay. Now let's talk about how this has translated to the rest of your career. How did you start applying this? Where were you working next after you got this CMA, and what was that job like?
So I had left the manufacturing company. I was starting work for a government contractor, and that's the time where I began the process of studying for and earning my CMA. So I was able to, even though there's nothing related to manufacturing with this government contractor, I was still able to apply a lot of the management accounting principles for this company. I led the accounting department. We rolled out an ERP system implementations. So they went from QuickBooks Desktop to Microsoft Dynamics Nav, which is now Business Central. But anyway, I was able to use my knowledge and help implement a new ERP system and leverage things I'd learned about accounting information systems, that type of thing, to be more helpful at the company.
Yeah, those are complex systems. I couldn't touch Dynamics. Dynamics was a little above my head. I had a client that wanted us to jump on there, or he was using it.
It was good. In fact, the thing is, like, it's a Microsoft product, so there's a lot of native, like, there's a lot of things that overlap between if you're using like Excel, Outlook, that kind of thing. So that was helpful. And yeah, so I helped grow the department, helped hire on some people to lead and not only like use that ERP system, but build out the accounting and make it more of a robust program and more robust reporting for the ownership.
Okay. So now let's continue down the journey, and we want to talk a little bit more about your independence and then starting these brands and doing these other things too.
Yeah. So I was at this company so early 2020, the pandemic started and businesses started shutting down. And so I started working remote, and I'd already read a book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Crushing It. And they talked about TikTok, and prior to TikTok, it was called Musical.ly. There's an acquisition. And that intrigued me. And then in early 2020, when you had more free time, you didn't have to commute. They're at home. There's no places to really go out to without crazy restrictions. My wife and I just started at nighttime. Our kids would go to bed, and we'd talk, and then we'd like scroll through TikTok just for a few minutes here and there and like watch some of these videos. And it got me thinking, like, there's got to be a fun way to use TikTok to create content. And then I sat on it for a while, and then basically about a year later, I just sat down one day and I looked at my phone. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a video. And my first video was extremely grainy. The image was backwards and all this stuff. It took me like a few months to figure out how to use TikTok to invert an image or use an external application to do all that. But anyway, I was just like playing around with it, having fun, created content talking about accounting. And through the process, I wanted to like, what is something else I can do? So I came across a video on how to make t-shirts. And originally I was going to do them myself and just make fun accounting shirts to sell that I could promote through TikTok.
Not make fun of accounting, but fun accounting.
Basically, I wanted people to be, not like to embrace accounting.
You wanted to celebrate it.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people that kind of like, the accountants, they picture them as boring people or stuck behind spreadsheets, not having much fun.
Everybody makes fun of accounting.
Yeah, exactly. We're easy
we're the
targets
butt of every joke.
Yeah, exactly. And then you hear about people like in Reddit threads and different places kind of talking about their horrible experience, especially some people had a bad experience in the Big Four and whatnot. So I was like, I wanted to be anti that. I wanted to show that accounting could be fashionable as a career choice, but also have some fun t-shirts that people could wear, even not to the office, out and about, to kind of promote what they do as their profession.
Did that kernel of an idea start from Gary's book, that Gary V book, and wanting to get online to eventually turn it into a brand?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So that seed was planted in my head, and it kind of came to fruition over time. Once I kind of thought more about like ways to try and go about creating the content, maybe monetize it if possible. And yeah, so that Gary Vaynerchuk book kind of gave me like the seed planted to tap into my creativity and kind of go that route. And that's what led to the development of different t-shirt designs and different things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's so cool. So you were like, I'm just going to make a TikTok. It wasn't very good, but you're still like, I just need to start putting myself out there. And then it turned into, I'm going to make t-shirts. And then now you have this brand. You've done other stuff around the brand too. I mean, you've been posting on LinkedIn as well. That's how I found you. And your videos are great now. Like, they're funny, and you're pulling in stuff from pop culture, and you're bringing it in, and you're making jokes, and you're very consistent. You've been putting them out very consistently over time. In the beginning, was it uncomfortable to do that, or how did you get over that?
Oh, so for me, I just used it as a creative outlet. I was like, if this is successful, awesome. If not, I just had fun with it. Obviously you can always like overthink things and like, oh, I wonder what people will think. But I was just looking at it as a fun way to put out content, kind of promote accounting. And if it took off, great. If it didn't, it didn't take me much time. I did all these videos and still do them now, like usually in the mornings or evenings, like when I have some downtime. And I'm very efficient with the process now. I have so many ideas that I've built out that I can create a video in like a span of 5 to 10 minutes from actually like quickly filming it and having it posted.
Okay. So you've created good processes around that.
Yeah.
And turn that into something that's repeatable, that you enjoy doing, so you can continue doing it. It's not really a burden to you.
Yeah, exactly.
How many different pieces of clothing or things have you designed over this time that you're selling?
So through Etsy, I now have over 120 different items between t-shirts, tank tops, baby onesies. I even have a pillow on there. I created like a T account with a debit and credit pillow that I have on there. But the majority of t-shirts, I even have some hats now. And so the best thing that I found is I came across a creator on YouTube that showed me how to design your work, use a print-on-demand company, and then tap it into Etsy. So I didn't have to carry any inventory and any of that thing. So if I made a design, it didn't work, then I took that listing down. If it was a success, then I kept that listing up and just renewed it every few months.
Ah, so the things that you're selling now are things that have sold and that
Yes.
are worthy of being on the market. Do you have all 100 of them listed, or you took some of them down?
So if some of them, like, depending how you use Etsy, you can post where they stay up for only like 3 or 4 months and see if there's any success. If not, you can remove the listing. But if it is successful, then you can renew and keep it up there. And so that's what I've done. I've tweaked different designs, but I feel like there's the baby onesies, especially recently, have been very popular. So that has me excited because maybe
That's
like
interesting
maybe
too, more
planting
babies.
a seed for little kids to be like wanting to go into accounting when they get older.
Ah, the kids are literal seeds too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yes.
that's the next generation. You are affecting the next generation literally too. That's pretty dope. So, and it's just a fun outlet for you. Has it led to any opportunities, or has it led to other things that you may not have anticipated?
For me, it's been incredible. I've met so many people now through posting consistently on LinkedIn that I've made a number of connections. Even I'm in some different groups. One of them is like a group on Slack that is geared towards tax accounting, and I don't do anything with tax accounting, but I have a referral network there. And so I've met a ton of people virtually, done different Zoom calls. And so I'm just trying to network with other accountants and just help. Obviously, I want people to know about Accounting Couture, but ultimately I'm happy to help other people become more successful, send them referrals and whatnot. I just want the accounting community as a whole to continue to network together and realize that there's so many people that need help with accounting that we're not really competing with one another. It should be more of a collaborative process. I mean, ultimately, yes, you need customers to grow your business, but there's so many companies that need accounting help, from maybe just like bookkeeping to fractional CFO work, controller work. So there's enough companies that need help out there that we're not really competing against one another.
So if you are a traditional practice, maybe doing taxes, CAS work, and you don't offer CFO services, what are some suggestions that you've found? And do you find that people in this community of tax accountants or CAS firms, are they offering these CFO services for their clients?
Yeah, some of the firms are starting to offer more and more. They're kind of taking people that have maybe come back into public accounting. Maybe they worked in public accounting, went into industry, came back, have some knowledge with what controllers are doing, CFOs, different things on a daily basis with strategic planning and whatnot. So there's referrals. So people will work with like a CPA firm. They'll get to know the people there that help with like tax work and stuff like that. And then people at the CPA firm, like, hey, like I know this person over here at this company, if you need just a specific focus on strategic planning, they can help you out. So that's the biggest thing that I've experienced so far, is there's a lot of referrals going back and forth.
A lot of referrals happening.
Yes.
And that with fractional CFOs, or what are they like? Are they CMAs, or who are the people that are performing a lot of these controllership type roles?
It's a good mix. So some people have like a CPA designation. Some people have are certified management accountants. Some people have just worked in the industry for a while, have not actually gone for a certification of like the CMA or CPA level. Maybe they just have like certification in like QuickBooks or other softwares where they know accounting and they know like the tools to use. And so they're able to go that route and get referrals and help companies that need help on that, like one specific kind of focus.
Yeah. I think this is the future evolution of CPA firm, is offering a lot of these services too, because people will pay more for them, but also it's solving other problems for the clients and the business owners. You can start looking forward and you can start doing more for them, and they can see us in a much more valuable light. Everybody that I talk to that offers these types of services are charging anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000 a month on some of these clients. So you're going to make a lot more because they value it a lot more than they value a lot of the tax work or the bookkeeping and the accounting. Being able to position yourself and offer those services is going to be very valuable for the practice. I know that there's two schools of thought, or two ways that people kind of do it. There's probably more than two, but we're going to talk about two. One of them being just outsourcing it to a fractional CFO or somebody else. It's almost like an extension of the firm, but they're doing that work for you. They don't work for the firm. There's also a way that you can build the system and hire somebody in-house to do that for your clients as they're part of the firm. Tell me, sir, which school of thought do you follow and why?
So for me, I follow the bringing somebody in-house to work as a fractional CFO to then help a number of clients.
Hiring is like W-2.
Yeah, hiring in a W-2 manner. And then, so basically you'll bring somebody in as a fractional CFO, as a W-2 employee. You can incentivize to pay like a salary, and then you can work on commission structures. But then that also incentivizes that person to not only like work and help their clients, but also try and bring in referrals, do some business development, some networking. And also as the firm grows from this like W-2 kind of focus, you can bring in, like, as the firm grows in revenue and can afford like the overhead, you can bring in other fractional CFOs that have maybe a totally different experience, maybe have more of the merger and acquisition experience that your company could utilize, and tap into that and just continue to grow and build a solid team that has a background through a number of different industries. That way, if you're working with a client that is humming along, but all of a sudden they need like a huge capital expenditure, well, we got this person over here, they have a banking background, so they know the best ways to go about not only which bankers to talk with, but what things to actually look for to help that particular client get the best financing, what the terms should be, that kind of thing.
So it sounds like the fractional route of hiring somebody is very fractured, and you're not building it around the idea of this firm being a business. This is just a couple of one-off things that this person can doing. But when you're hiring somebody in the house, they're looking at building that organism of a business, and everybody's working together toward one common goal of helping the clients at that firm. And it also sounds like it makes the firm a lot more valuable because you're looking at integrating this as part of an offering for any client at any stage of their business too, which is very valuable. When somebody's looking to sell, they're probably going to pay a lot more for the right kind of advice and ways to help make that sale a potential more profitable, obviously, higher value. Anybody that specializes in M&A and those kind of things, that's what they're geared toward doing. So offering all of these types of services for your clients not only makes it more valuable just for those individual clients, but the firm as well. And it's my understanding that you're doing that actually after a recent event. You've met somebody. Let's hear that story too.
Yeah, so about a year ago, I got enrolled with a course called the CFO Accelerator. There's
for our students, Michael King. Yeah,
Michael King,
yes. He's been on the show.
So if you are, yeah, exactly. So he has his own fractional CFO firm separate from this, but I joined his course that he created, him and a couple other partners. And basically it takes you from beginning to end of like how to like start a fractional CFO service, like what services to offer. Like you focus on the very beginning of like creating like business model, what kind of clients you want to work on, your pricing, how to sell it. And then once you actually have clients, then like how to get the contracts in place, and then how to handle the calls and talk through like the financial reports and dashboards that you build for the client, and then continue to scale from there. So I took that course about a year ago, got plugged into the community. I was looking at, ultimately I want to go into this kind of realm anyway. And so I met through, like, I kept posting on LinkedIn, got connected with different people in the space. And then earlier this year, I got connected with the company, started talking with the owner, and then recently had gone through some interviews and whatnot, but I'm going to be joining their firm soon as a fractional CFO. And so basically through going through the program, networking, and going to the live conference they had in Dallas a couple weeks ago, they kind of solidified me not only like knowing that I wanted to go this route, but finding a firm to work with.
Yeah, it's so valuable. So he's got his community. Check out episode 170, students, if you haven't yet. It was wildly popular when it was released. It still is. I think it was about a year ago. Michael King, he's awesome. The stuff that he's doing is great because it's led to a success for two people that actually went to one of the events now. You've got two members of the community that have met. Now Lukas is starting to work full time there, and they're going to do some special things. So tell me about your role now at this firm and kind of when you're getting started and what the plans are there.
Yeah, so I'll be starting with the company's called Backbone CFO. I'm going to be starting with them this next week. And basically, I'll have clients that I'll work with, like from a fractional CFO perspective. But then I'll also continue to put out content that I've already done, like Accounting Couture kind of thing, but also create content and kind of interweave some stuff talking about Backbone so that I can not only like have my clients that I work with and help, but also kind of drive awareness to the business and help it grow from a marketing perspective. So for me, it's the best of both worlds. I get to do the fractional work that I love. I love working like in that strategic thinking mindset. But then I also like the creative and trying to find ways to engage with potential clients and whatnot. So now I'll get to do both of them at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, man, that sounds awesome. It's kind of like your career has led to this point where you get to flex all the creativity, the finance, and it sounds like you're going to be having an impact on the people you're working with too. It's not necessarily like, I'm not going to say those other jobs were soul crushing, but when you're working in a larger corporation in a larger industry, you may not feel that you're having an impact on anybody, maybe just your boss, or maybe in some other indirect ways.
Yeah, and I feel like different companies I've worked with, accounting is maybe not fully siloed, but it's kind of like a siloed department. People kind of, with the exception of the ownership that relies on the financial reports and the data, people don't necessarily interact with accounting a lot other than like some payroll stuff, expense reimbursement, but they may not really look at the financial reports. But now, like I'll literally be working with owners of companies, talking through their financial performance and their data. And also the Backbone CFO uses the entrepreneurial operating system. So it became popularized with the book Traction, and there's other books out there as well. But basically it's systematizing everything so that your clients are on the same page, the company itself is on the same page. So everybody within Backbone, all the clients we work with are either running EOS or looking at running EOS for their own companies. So like you said, if they want to run their company for 20 years and just keep it going in the family, great. But if they do go to sell, everything's systematized. So it's easier to sell because you can show it to the investors.
So much easier.
Yeah,
Yes.
You can obviously show the EBITDA and all their performance metrics, but you can show like, hey, here's all our processes. The CEO could step down one day and then this machine just keeps running. There's no like, oh, the CEO left, now what do we do? There's like there'll be a much smoother transition.
So I like to say this, anybody who asks, the way I've been able to exit my firm and let it run without me was EOS. Without that, we wouldn't have had the systems in place. And we talk about EOS a lot on the show. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Let's talk about how that goes into building an offering for Backbone. So Backbone, because they use EOS and they know that system, they can help clients. Do they help implement it as well? Or do they hook the clients up with somebody that can help implement EOS?
With Backbone, there's people that we have like in our community that can help be an implementer and whatnot. So we can refer people out if they don't have the system in place already. Some people that could come in and help them implement the processes and the procedures.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that becomes part of the offering, I guess, too, to make them more desirable for a buyer. All of these businesses, but also make it more desirable for the owner because the owner doesn't become tied to everything. They're so ingrained in a lot of things that if you can get them out of the way, that's a very good system to do that.
Yeah, and it shows that Backbone has buy-in as well because we're literally running the exact same system and playbook for the company internally that we're promoting for our clients. So we're running the same meeting structure, same time frame, same everything. So it helps in that regard too. Like it shows that you're fully committed to making the client better and your company better as well.
Do you sit in on any of those meetings with, or actually you haven't necessarily started
Well,
yet,
I've sat in on a couple so far.
Okay.
So even before I started, I've sat in on a couple, which has been awesome. Just kind of like sitting in the background, but I'm excited to dive in and run through all the meetings and get fully immersed with all the clients.
So tell me about the management structure of the firm. How many people are at the firm, and what's the what's the revenue, what's the size, or whatever you could share?
So I'll just kind of say, like, the team is pretty small in terms of there's less than 10 people now. It's looking to grow, especially as they get like the revenue like higher and higher. It's
Sure.
definitely on the way above the 7-figure mark and growing. So the companies continue to grow that regard. But yeah, I'm just excited to be there. So yeah, team of 10 now, but hopefully within the next few months we can add more people as we have clients in the pipeline and that kind of thing.
Oh, wow. And are they doing other services too? Are they also doing taxes, accounting, like books and things like that as well?
So there's some people that have like bookkeeping, but mostly focusing on just the fractional CFO piece. And then we also have some tax things. So we have a referral partner for the tax piece that can help on that. So yeah, they'll be all set from the tax perspective. Bookkeeping, the clients kind of do that on their own. We have obviously referrals for that as well, but we're just looking at the focus on the strategy, the EOS structure, and then the tax piece that we can give them as well.
Much more profitable.
Yeah.
Michael has talked about this on his episode. He says, if you lead or you offer any of those services like tax and accounting, you're not going to be able to charge the same prices because they are anchoring products.
Yeah.
They're products that anchor you and anchor your services.
Yeah, we just look at those as like an add-on to benefit the client, to give them a service, but that's just additional product, but not the main focus of what we're trying to offer.
Right. Which is an elevated offering. And
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
I talk to on this show, they all share the same sentiment where you can do a lot more for your clients and be a lot more active in their businesses too, and in the success of their businesses if you position yourself this way. If you're just going to handle compliance work and that's the reason they come to you, you could still run a profitable business, but you're going to need a lot more clients and you're going to need a different system. That's an entirely different system, and it's anchored by lower prices because you're anchored by the compliance. Here,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
transforming businesses. Businesses are coming to you, and you are going to reinvent a lot of the way they do things and help them become more profitable and marketable to sell as well. I think this goes back to the advice that Michael gave when he was on, is a firm that's offering all of the tax and accounting services, how do they go about offering these? Do they have to rebrand or spin up something else that offers those services?
They can kind of rebrand. It makes it harder to have those conversations if you've already been doing like this subset of work, like the accounting and tax. Then you have to have those conversations of like, oh, well, now we're going to have this. That's what I like about just going for the fractional piece initially as your focus. Then you don't have to have those conversations of like, well, we had you at X amount per month. Now it's going to be double that because you. So that's why I feel like
that doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
I've tried
it doesn't
to do
work.
that.
And so you may lose some clients in the process that aren't on board with that and may not see the value, so they may drop off, which ultimately may be what the company needs, is to let those clients go works with someone else, maybe give them some great referrals out there to a different firm, and then just go focus on the higher value work piece and focus on those kind of clients.
Yeah. And it's the age-old conversation of looking forwards or looking backwards. The
Yes.
accountants that are looking backwards and tend to direct everything that they talk about from the rear view tends to be less valuable because it's all already happened and you're not affecting the change of the future.
Yeah.
Looking forward is uncomfortable for a lot of accountants that have their neck turned the other direction most of the time. So it's uncomfortable for them to make that pivot. You started your career and you grew your career by looking forward for businesses. And that was the decision you made when you hit that crossroads of a CPA or CMA. You chose the door to the left. I assume that was still strategic from that onset.
And that's one thing too. So even though like some of my titles have been like accounting manager or controller, these have been smaller firms. And so there's no FP&A department. Like if you want FP&A and budgeting forecasting, you're going to do that yourself. So even though like some of these companies that I haven't had the title of CFO, I've done CFO work. I've done the forward-looking thing, strategic plans. What's our forecast? 6 months, 12 months. What do we need to do to achieve our goals 3 years out, 5 years out? So yeah, larger corporations, if you work as a controller or accounting manager, that's what you're going to do. Like you're going to do controller work. But if you're working for a smaller firm, especially ones that are growth-minded, then you're going to be wearing a multitude of hats of like, yes, today I'm working on AR, tomorrow we're going to clean up accounts payable, but the next 2 weeks after we close, literally we're working on planning out for the next 2 to 3 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What's your role? What's the role called at the firm that you're at?
My job role will be fractional CFO. So I'll have clients in that regard, but I'll still work on the networking piece, try and help as much as I can with business development.
Yeah, that's the stuff that's exciting too, is the BD, because now you can focus some of your efforts on the TikTok and other areas toward that ideal business that you want to start attracting to for that business development. And you can still leverage your personal brand by doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever done that?
That's kind of like what I'm looking to do. Before, I've just kind of done like Accounting Couture as a side thing, but I kind of want to interweave it and then work on that to promote the Backbone CFO and try and grow the client base in that regard and try and meet more business owners that need help in that capacity.
Do you have an ideal client profile or somebody that you're going to be looking to attract?
Revenue target wise, yes. In terms of industry, kind of open in that regard. There's a lot of service-based companies and even ones in like light manufacturing, HVAC, plumbing companies. So companies that people will need on a consistent basis throughout the year that are good like revenue wise to support a fractional CFO, but they don't have the revenue to support like a full-time accounting department type thing.
Service base always comes up a lot. Everybody that tends to offer these types of services tend to do it for service-based businesses, not just professional services. Like you said, it could be the HVAC or those types of businesses too. They rely on human labor.
And then they do have some construction clients too. So like in terms of like work in process, that kind of thing, we can handle that. Sure. The owner of the company is also a certified management accountant. So we kind of have that like management accounting like history and knowledge that we bring into the clients that we work with.
That's pretty exciting too, that you get to, flex both of those sides of it. For our students now, let's talk about some of the benefits of separating these things too. So when you're looking at a firm that's focused on the compliance, they're all deadline based. Are there deadlines in a lot of this work, or do you create your deadlines?
Good question. So a lot of it's the deadlines are created. So with like EOS, you have set parameters on when you have like meetings, and there's a whole schedule for that. So yeah, some of them are driven by like the accounting process, but a lot of them are driven by the EOS model of like the recurring monthly meetings, check-ins, and then the quarterly things where you go like to a more in-depth review of everything and planning with the clients. So a lot of it's driven by the model we use. That's
what tends to drive everybody and keeps everybody motivated toward finishing something, obviously, is these deadlines that you're creating in EOS. We call them rocks and other things so that you have to complete and finish by a certain time too. But it's still a healthy way to set things up, because you're not going to do things that create situations that are overburdened or over stressful. I think that part of the planning process and part of setting the rocks is it attainable? Is it possible to get this done? I mean, they're usually bigger things, obviously. Do you have anything assigned to you yet? Are you a part of the management team at the firm?
Yes and no. So like it's a smaller firm, so I'm not on the management team itself, but I definitely have a lot of dialogue and interaction. So my input will be valued not only from like the client perspective, but also like there's things I can kind of contribute to help the firm as a whole. Then I'll be valued in that regard. So not really on the management level per se, but definitely part of the team, and like everybody's inputs are valued.
How about this? Do you know where you sit on the accountability chart?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. So you know what you are accountable for. What rolls up to you there.
So I know what I'm accountable for stepping into it, who I'll work with and report to, and kind of like have as my accountability person with the company.
Oh, okay, cool. So what are your hopes with the Accounting Couture brand? Are you still going to promote that and still continue to do that outside of this?
Yeah, for me, so a lot of the content I make and share is done before working hours or like after work, that kind of thing. I still want to do it because I want more and more people to be drawn to the profession. A lot of the content I produce is humor-based, just because I want people to see that accounting can be fun. Now, sometimes the work may be any kind of work you do, no matter what it is, no matter what your passions are, there's certain things that you have to do that just have to get done. But I want people to see that there's creativity in accounting. Obviously, like you can see from your music videos and the stuff like that, there's a awesome group of people in accounting that you wouldn't know about unless you saw it on like Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, that kind of thing. So I just want more and more people to see not only the content that I put out, but other people that are creative and showing like the fun you can have with accounting, whether it's like a quick humorous video, dad joke, music video that's fully produced. And so I'll continue to put that out, promoting like Accounting Couture, and then also showcase other creators as well. And so I want people to be drawn to the profession, whether they're in high school and college age, or even people like me that changed their career fully. So I went from a personal trainer, fitness industry, complete change in career trajectory by going into accounting. And I want people to, like, if they have any interest in accounting, to just go for it, and then have Accounting Couture on the website. I have links for like jokes and like different things on the store, but I also have resources that I list out if you're looking to study for the CMA exam, CPA exam, things that just help us, an overview of like accounting in general. So I have several hyperlinks out there that I want people to like utilize, either they're evaluating accounting or they're already in accounting, and what do I go to the next stage? Maybe they're a junior accountant somewhere, and what can I do? Like, should I get CPA, CMA, or is there another credential out there for me?
So they're drawn to the brand because of the fun, but then they'll accidentally get some knowledgeable stuff in there. It's strategically placed.
And that's the thing too. Like, so when I produce some of these videos, a lot of it, it's humor focused. Some of it is. Some of it's just general knowledge. But I want it to start a conversation. So if somebody is like in IT and they don't really have much to do with accounting, but they see a video that's kind of funny, but then they talk to their accounting friends and they kind of explain it to them, well, then that kind of showcases, like, the accountants like get to show like, oh yeah, this is what EBITDA stands for. And then the IT person's like, oh, that is pretty funny. And then they go away knowing a little bit more about accounting. The accountants get to share more about like their career, what they do on a daily basis. And it's just kind of a fun way to educate people that are not accountants. And then for accountants to be like, oh yeah, that's hilarious, I got to show my friends.
Yeah, ultimately it's made for the accountants. The accountants are the ones
for
who
sure.
Get it, and and that's where it's going to be really funny and land. But
Yes.
you bring it in because you're bringing in the outside other stuff too, like the movie clips and other things, pop culture type things, to make it more relatable for anybody else as well.
Yeah, and it's like you said, some of the things I bring in that are from TV shows, pop culture, movies, I will do some things that are like accounting focused, but then some are just general, like, no matter what, if you've ever used Excel or you've been on a Zoom call, there's certain things that like everybody's had to deal with. And so those are kind of humorous as well.
Yep. I know that all too well. Well, here at Accounting High, we don't have a clothing brand yet, but we might through the help of Accounting Couture. Lukas has already shared with me how he created his store. So students, we may have a clothing line coming soon to you. We'll see. See how that goes. I actually have to do some work and pull all that together. We've made shirts and we've made swag and just given it away, but I haven't sold anything yet. So I think we have a cool brand that we can start making some things for our students, right?
Oh yeah, for
stay
sure.
tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. One last thing, I want you to plug a book that you have read that you put right behind you right before we started recording too, to showcase. So I want you to plug this book and talk about it a little bit. Sometimes we do book reports here. This isn't a full book report, but I want to hear more about it.
So I have Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. So basically this book talks about...
This sounds like reading Rainbow. This is it. This is our reading Rainbow segment.
Take a look. It's in a book. Yeah. So basically what I like about this book is it gives you a way to kind of think about what is your time worth, especially as you get further along in your career and maybe you're running your own business or you're part of the leadership team. What are things that you're working on that you could have somebody else do? So maybe there are things that have to get done for the company to be successful, but they are not something that like lights your fire. And then maybe you can hand them off to somebody else that's somebody else on the team and free up your time to focus on more like higher level things or things that are more of your passion aligns with. And so it kind of gives you a calculation to value based on your current compensation or your goals of what your time is worth. And then if you're doing things like updating, like checking emails or different things, well, some of those tasks you could automate or have somebody else handle, and that frees up your time. And that gives them, that person, like, that gives them something to work on. Their time is valued, they're paid, they're compensated. But since you're like the CEO or maybe you're a management on the executive team, then your time is freed up to handle other projects and focus on that. So the book is really good about explaining how to kind of determine what your time is worth, and then how to start handing off tasks to other people, start delegating, and go from there.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for that little segment. This is going to be a new ongoing segment now where people present the book just like a little reading rainbow, little review. I love it. That's so great. Students, if you want to see more or hear more from Lukas, he's on LinkedIn for sure. Lukas Sundahl on LinkedIn. We'll have a little link in the show notes. Accounting Couture, also on LinkedIn. That's the brand. It's also got a website. It's just accountingcouture.com, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, check that out. He's got some dope swag and other things you can buy. It's through the Etsy store and all that. Lukas, thanks for coming on for our students. Give us just one piece of parting advice from a physical trainer turned CMA, now also a clothing empire founder.
Just pay it forward. So whatever you can do to help somebody else, maybe like you've been in your career now 5, 10, 15 years. There's things obviously you'll gain a ton of experience in that time frame. What are things that you can do to find people that are more junior in their career and give them advice or different things? So I try and kind of do that with some of my content, either through blog articles or whatever it is. I want people to not have to go through some of the same things I had, same challenges. So if you can, try and impart your knowledge. I definitely think that there could be more mentoring out there in the world. And so whatever you can do, share what you know. There's some videos I posted recently on how to create a QR code for your LinkedIn on your phone to share it with people. So if you're in line for coffee, like you talk to somebody like, oh, I'm a recruiter, you pull up your phone, they can scan the QR code from your LinkedIn and then they have your contact information. So for me, find ways to pay it forward. If you have knowledge, wisdom that you can share with other people, don't hold anything back. Trying to, like, my ultimate thing is really, in essence, we're really collaborating. There's so many different people that need help, no matter what, even if you're in accounting or if you're in the health industry or IT or consulting, there's so many different people that need help. So try and focus your mindset more on a collaboration standpoint and not on the competing standpoint.
It's hard to change that mindset, but it's possible.
Yeah, it takes time. It's hard.
And that competitive mindset creeps back in sometimes too. We still try to have fun here. We do have competitions at Accounting High. You know, we have the bracket challenge and everything else. We're all on the same team, the human team or the accounting team.
Yeah, exactly.
Dope. Thanks, Lukas. Class dismissed.
Okay.